Hey, welcome back to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. I'm your host, Coach Zach. I'm here with sweet as candy, Coach Brandy.
Hi, everybody.
How are we doing today?
Doing good.
So I wanted to kick this episode off with a shout out to your clients that you train in the afternoon because it's really a shout out to you and just the amazing job that you do training the clients. But you were out sick last week. And so I got to step in and do some training, which I don't do all that much anymore. And everybody that just normally comes in and works with you, they were so dialed in. Not to say that our clients that come in the mornings aren't, but the clients that typically you're training, it was like they practically trained themselves.
They're awesome.
Themselves, which was awesome because I'm also a little rusty. So I appreciated that.
Good.
But one person in like particular really stood out, and it was Trisha Serta.
Yes.
And she was so dialed in. She was basically training herself to some degree. I mean, it was like I kept just checking in with her, but she was like doing phenomenal and doing pull-ups and moving some weight. And I would be like, I'd watch her and I'd be like, hey, you got to go up 5 pounds. Like, that's too light. You got to go up. And she's like, no, really? And I'm like, yeah, you're crushing it. So it was awesome. I mean, big props to all of those clients. Big props to you, because it's like that's really an good indicator of quality training of somebody, assessing somebody and being able to watch them and be like, their form's perfect. They know exactly what they're supposed to be doing all the time in the gym. And they didn't start that way. Right. So they're well coached and well trained. And so like props to you, but big shout out to her for crushing it.
Trisha is awesome. And I'll agree. It's so exciting to see when someone has, never worked out before, and then they come in, they're doing our program and they're really learning. Trisha is a consistency queen. She's here all the time. She works really hard. And she knows what she's doing now. And it's exciting to see someone that comes from, not ever working out in a gym to now coming in and being able to, know what exercises to do, how to do them, proper form. Go Trisha. And she's strong too. She is stronger than she believes she is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Right. But I think she's starting to believe in herself, which is awesome. So shout out to her. All right, let's dive into today's episode. We're talking about basically nutrient deficiencies that come from your diet,
right,
and the quality of food that you're getting, right? So you could focus on quantity, which I think majority of people do naturally in our society, is like, okay, am I eating too many calories? And that's kind of the main thing that they focus on.
Right.
But you could eat a ton of calories and still be starving to death.
Yes.
Basically. And not providing your body with the nutrients that it needs and requires.
Yeah.
And I think, it's you take the supplement industry and the explosion of the supplement industry over the last 30 years, let's say. And it's like there are 50 million brands of supplements, and nobody knows like really which one's the best, and what supplements they need, which ones they don't need. They need like blood work to figure it out and all of these things. And just that in and of itself, the commercialization of the supplement industry should indicate to the world that there's a problem with our food.
Yes.
Because we should be able, and our diets.
Yeah.
Because we should be able to get everything that we need from just nature.
Exactly. Right. If you're eating a whole foods diet that is nutrient rich, then you won't need all of the supplements that are out there. And, supplement is supposed to supplement a diet or, a healthy diet that's, nutrient rich. But I think a lot of times people are not eating that whole foods, nutrient rich diet. So then they're, really overdoing it on the supplements. which
Yeah.
should be secondary.
It should be secondary, and don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with supplementing, right? And I know, my diet's not perfect, right? And so it's like I want to make sure that I'm covering all my bases and getting all the nutrients that I need, but I shouldn't have to.
Right.
I shouldn't have to, right? And I think that you just, even currently, presently in our world, you look at the US versus like European countries.
Mm-hmm.
European countries don't have the processed food that we have.
Right.
Right. And they also don't have the obesity that we have. And the illness and everything at as large of a scale. And so just, adding 2 + 2 here, it's obvious to see that our system is broken. Our food system is broken. People are buying processed foods. They're eating convenience foods, fast foods, that we've gotten so far away from just what's natural. And, and the quality has diminished. And so you could eat an abundance of food and still not be getting the nutrients that you need. And then if you cut your calories because you're focused on quantity instead of quality, now you're starving your body even further.
Right.
And that's one thing that I really want people to understand is like, you're probably before you start a diet, you're probably already not getting the nutrients that you need.
Right.
Then you reduce your calories down, and now your body is starving, basically. Maybe not from a caloric standpoint, but from a nutrient standpoint.
Yeah, you are. You're starving. You don't have the nutrients that you need for normal, bodily functions, whether that's immune support or, hormone health or, all the different things that your body needs, vitamins and minerals for. You should be getting those from your foods, but when you are eating a heavily processed diet, then you're just not getting what your body needs. And it is very much correlated to obesity, to health, to, I know that there's a lot of diseases that are related to not eating a well-balanced, nutrient-rich diet.
Yeah. And so I want to give some specific examples here. When I was a kid, my dad worked on a dairy farm, and the law stated that in order for a business to come in and purchase a cow for meat, that cow had to be able to stand. That was like the law.
Interesting.
And so these buyers from fast food chains would come in, and before they would get there, the farmers would basically inject these cattle with steroids or whatever to get them to be able to stand. And Brandy this morning was just talking about maybe starting to incorporate some meat into her diet. Now that's over. I see you looking at me, and it was like, nope, never mind. So they would inject these cattle, they'd medicate them so that the cattle would be able to stand.
Right.
Just for the buyer to get there, see it, purchase it, even though that cow was sick and diseased and ready to die, basically. And then they would buy that cow, butcher it, and they're serving that in their restaurant.
Right. And that's what we're putting into our bodies.
And that's what you're putting into your body. So that convenience, that fast food is not quality food. And everybody knows that already, I would think, to some degree. Now, they probably didn't know the backstory of that I was privy to because my dad worked and saw that happen. But when I knew that and found that out, I'm a kid, you think fast food when you're a kid kind of sounds fun or whatever, especially it was kind of a special occasion because I didn't grow up eating that way. But it's I never want to eat fast food again ever after
after you know what goes into it. Yeah.
Yes. And so not only is that the nutrients that somebody is going to get from that animal not great, right? And in this case, we're talking about an animal. but also like what bad things are they now getting from that animal, right? If they're injecting it with antibiotics and steroids and who knows what to get it to be healthy enough just for the buyer to be legally allowed to purchase it, like what's happening there. So and then what's the impact on your body internally from that, right? And the same idea applies to fruits and vegetables too. It's like they're spraying herbicides and pesticides and all kinds of garbage on our food to get it to grow and to maximize crops. And then you're taking that and you're putting it in your body, right? And so not only is the nutrients less, but now you're also putting a bunch of toxic chemicals in your body as well.
Right.
And so our food supply is broken.
It is.
Right?
It is. We should all be growing our own.
We should all be
growing our own fruits and vegetables.
That's right.
And protein.
Yeah, growing
farms.
Yeah, raising cattle and chickens and all that. But that's not necessarily a reality for everybody. But and I think that if there'll be these like documentaries that come out that exploit this or reveal it to people, and people are outraged and they're like, this is the worst thing ever. And instead of being like, hey, I need to take control over my diet and the quality of food that I'm getting, and I need to make sure my family is getting all of this, it's like they're outraged and then they just
continue to do it.
Continue, buying frozen foods from the grocery store instead of shopping the outer edge, like you talk about, right? And getting fresh produce and getting, good quality meat and free ranging organic eggs and all these things, and then having quality food that is going to fuel their body and prevent disease instead of welcome it and cause it, promote, and do that for their family as well, feed their family these healthy things.
I think a lot of it is lifestyle based, and I think we tend to live in this society where we're like go fast food, microwave meals, and just shopping the inside of the grocery store for the things that are packaged and easy. But that does take a toll on your body, and you're not getting your food should be fuel. That's what we're using food for. And I think if you can kind of flip that switch and eat food as it is, or as it should be, which is fuel, then that might help you to kind of plan for and make that lifestyle shift that you need in order to be healthier. To live healthier, to feel better, to, so that you don't need all of those different supplements that are out there on the market, because you are getting what you need from your food. And you mentioned something that was important. It's a really good tip, is to shop the perimeter of the grocery store. That's where you're going to find your fruits, your vegetables, your fresh meats, all of those types of things. So start there, and then wash your vegetables and fruit when you get home. You mentioned the pesticides, so that's an important step to take too. But just be really aware and cognizant about what you are putting into your body.
Yeah, and I want people to love their bodies. Your body is one of the most, it's probably the most incredible functioning works of engineering that anybody's ever seen, ever, right? I mean, just the power of the human body is amazing. And when you appreciate that, and when you love your body, and you're going to want to take care of it.
Yes.
And you're going to want to, well, hopefully you would, but you're going to want to educate yourself on how the things that you're putting into it impact it.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody wants to feel good. Everybody wants to have good energy and look good and be vibrant and just be happy and enjoy life. And every time we eat something that's not good for us, we're feeding
Right.
disease, basically.
Yeah, feeding into that. Yeah, exactly.
And so when you're putting stuff into your body, you're either feeding health or you're feeding disease. And you're either loving your body or you're hating your body. And I want people to love their bodies.
Yes.
Because it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, treat it as well as you would treat, your car or, whatever it is in your life that you value and treat well. Think about your body in that way, and you will feel, much better if you are eating healthier.
Yeah, and
have more energy.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Peterson rules to life, right? Is like take the same level of care for yourself as you would for somebody you're responsible for taking care of.
Right.
Right. And so like there's this like thing, there are meal replacement programs, weight loss programs, different, multi-level marketing things, whatever. Right. And they Nutrisystem or they're not coming to mind, but there's a million of them, right? And they're these diet programs, but they're like meal replacement supplements, right? And they have some sort of format. They're all a little bit different, but it pretty much looks like this, like only you're going to eat one meal a day, and then you're going to supplement with our supplements.
Yeah, a variety of drinks and
snacks and bars and even frozen meals or whatever, right? And that's just processed food. That's all it is, right? Mm-hmm. And you're basically starving yourself without starving yourself. Like you're starving yourself of nutrients, but you're still having these meals to make you think that you're full. And if I lost my train of thought, I don't remember how I started with that. But if you're going down that route, then you have to recognize what's happening to your body when you do that, right? You're masking a survival system that's telling you, I need to eat to survive. You're masking that with processed empty calories.
Right. And I think a lot of times people will make the decision to use a system like that because it's easy and just out of easiness and function, and it's right there, it's available, ready for you, so it's easy to implement. But anything that's good for you is usually takes work. If you're going to be eating healthy, you need to plan, you need to meal prep, you need to, cook healthy foods, prepare those healthy foods, know where to buy those foods. So it's not easy. It takes more time, but it's so worth the time that it takes. I think a general rule of thumb is if you look at a nutrition label and you can't read the ingredients pronounce the ingredients on a nutrition label, and it's, really long and just, all of these things that you've never heard of before, that's usually a good indication that is not something that is really good for you or healthy for you.
Yeah. And just because something says it's organic doesn't mean that it's that it's good for you. Right. And people need to understand that marketing food, labeling food, marketing food is a billions of dollars a year industry.
Yes.
And so they'll do anything to make their food look like it's good for you.
Right.
Right. They'll put natural on, no artificial ingredients and things that just appeal to your psychology of making you think like, hey, this is good for me, or it's not harmful, at least not harmful to me. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it is, right? And so like you said, the safest route is you just have to shop the perimeter of the grocery store, get organic produce and good quality meats, and then cook your meals and prepare them.
Right.
Takes more time, but in the long run, you're going to be healthier and happier, and your family is going to be healthier and happier too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So you got to take care of yourself and don't focus on the quantity, focus on the quality. It's really what it comes down to.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. All right, guys.
You'll be glad you did.
You will be glad you did. And if you don't, you're going to be sorry that you didn't. Right? So, all right, guys, that's all we got for you this week. We'll be back next week with more great stuff. Thank you so much for listening to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. Do you have a question that you'd like for us to answer live on the podcast? If so, all you need to do is head over to the Apple Podcast app on your iPhone and do 3 simple things. First, leave us a rating and review telling me what you think of the podcast. In that review, ask anything you want related to health, fitness, or nutrition. And if you want a shout out, leave us your Instagram handle or name. That's all you have to do. Then listen to hear your questions answered live on the next Q&A episode.